a topic of conversation is to choose your relationships wisely. And it isn't just about romantic relationships. We are basically having to be careful of all the people who are around us because there's a statistic that says we basically we are the composite of the three people that we spend the most amount of time with. So think of the people, three people who you spend the most amount of time with, and that is going to be basically how you are, because you are who you surround yourself with. These matches don't work. You are who you surround yourself with. So choose wisely, especially romantic relationships. I don't know about you, but I've been in some relationships that nearly destroyed me, that wore down my spirit, wore down my finances, and tore me down in a lot more ways than one. So it is important for you to be careful who you choose to spend your time with. Be careful who you have a romantic encounter in, because in the spiritual world there is such a thing as spirit entanglement, energy entanglement. You become who you surround yourself with is basically what I'm saying. And people, their thoughts and their opinions of you can have an effect on how you see yourself. If somebody is constantly putting you down or dismissing your feelings, the effects of that can be very insidious. It can be slow, and it can destroy your self-worth. It can give you trauma. So we really have to be careful who we choose. So what's a thing to look out for in choosing the people who we surround ourselves with? Number one, how do they make your body feel? Do they make you feel safe? Do they make you feel welcome? Do they make you feel bad about yourself? Because as I was saying before, people can be bullies. This can be family member. This can be friends. This can be lovers, casual encounters. Even if they're not a bully to you, that energy still rubs off on you. Just like Mean Girls. Mean Girls, for example. In the beginning of the movie Mean Girls, Lindsay was really nice and innocent. And she changed throughout the course of that movie. She became a mean girl throughout the course of that movie. The people that she surrounded herself with 100% negatively impacted her. She became mean. She became very self-absorbed, very concerned with her looks and her reputation. And what happened to her life? It became a mess. Her grades started going down. She started making enemies of the people that were once her friends. She started being mean to people. She started thinking of herself differently. That is the same for romantic relationships, family relationships, friendships. If you feel like people are just abusive, chances are they're probably very abusive to themselves. That is going to lower your vibration. That is going to cause you to become more that way. Okay? And it causes trauma. If you have a partner who's, giving you backhanded compliments, like for example, oh, wow, babe, your jeans make your butt look fat, but in a really cute way. That's just an example of a backhanded compliment. And then you're going to start asking yourself, am I fat? Do I need to lose weight? Do I look good? Why did they say that to me? Okay, so that's a small example of this Eight of Swords energy. It's mental abuse. Okay, it's believe it or not, it's abuse. And there's subtle ways that people enact those mental abuse. So that's another example of why it's important to choose your relationships wisely. Okay, so let's see. What else do we have here? We have the Five of Wands. I think I talk about this all the time. Five of Wands. So Five of Wands is basically a drama starter. I almost thought of that song. How many of you guys have heard the song Prodigy, Firestarter? There are some people who live to start drama. I had this ex, and there was a side to this person that was very sadistic. It took me a really long time to realize that this person would say things that would trigger you to be upset on purpose. Like, for example, he would constantly be making jokes about women that he knew would normally get me upset. And one day I decided to not react in a way, I decided to not react at all to his comments that I knew would normally get me upset. And what did he do but repeat himself? I saw him do this not only to me, but to his family. This person triggered other people. He got off on making people upset because it allowed him to show some type of mental superiority to the people around him. This is the type of person who likes to argue. They like to do it. And they always find themselves in fights or in drama or in petty squabbles, and I feel like that's it might be a form of narcissism. It doesn't matter the reason why. If somebody exhibits these characteristics, please run. If you notice that they like to fight, that you always end up in some kind of argument or disagreement, you or the people around them, that is usually a recipe for a disaster. Hi there. Masculinity is old and needs to stay in the past. Well, I don't know about that. There's positive masculinity and there's negative masculinity. The arguments were a form of entertainment. Okay. Well, it's not a healthy situation to be in. That's going to wear you down. And it's dangerous. It's very dangerous because it lowers your vibration, it lowers your frequency, it enacts your fight or flight response. If I was like a neuroscientist, I could explain to you what being around somebody who likes to start arguments will do. I'm not a neuroscientist, so I can't. But yes, that's just another example of the type of characteristics that we want to avoid. These are red flag characteristics. And it's important to understand that relationships can be amazing and they can be joyous, but they can also be life-ruining. All right, I don't want to talk about other dark things that can happen in relationships, like physical abuse and things like that. But we all know it's there. So these are like the precursors to all of that. Somebody who likes to start fights, somebody who likes to break you down could potentially be a physical abuser. They're an abuser, and that really messes with it turns into trauma in your body. And if you were to leave these type of people, that's when you kind of start to untangle yourself from the damage that they've done, to realize, maybe I'm not so bad after all. They don't feel happy in love. Yeah, I mean, that's a very simple way to put it. And it's not a happy time. It's not fun to be around somebody who's always bullying you, giving you backhanded compliments, or somebody who just likes to start trouble or drama or fights or petty arguments or things like that, right? We also have the Five of Swords. This is a very dangerous characteristic in an individual. The way the Five of Swords shows up is it can be self-sabotage, but more importantly, it's the type of person who will step on you to get what they want. They're the type of person who's cutthroat, always has to win in an argument, is only looking after themselves. Always looking after themselves. So that's definitely a characteristic that you want to watch out for. That can turn into trauma or abuse. Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles is like a lesser characteristic to look out for, but that sense of uncertainty, I feel like somebody, if they can't make up their mind, that whole pick me can really affect your sense of self, your self-esteem, right? If somebody is always on the fence about where they want the relationship to go, it takes away your sense of security, emotional security, and emotional stability within a partnership. It's almost like a friend who's always like, I don't know why we're friends. That is not a nice thing to say to someone. And I definitely don't want to be friends with someone who's saying things like that to you. A partner, a friend, why are we friends? You're right, why are we friends? Maybe we don't need to be. Maybe we don't need to be. Okay. Hi there. Hi, guys. We're just talking Page of Wands. So this is a flirty person. I know that there are all types of relationships now. I talk about it all the time on this channel. There's ethical non-monogamy. There's polyamory. And things like that. Okay, I don't know, but I think that you can just... All right. Hi, Shahana. So if you want a reading, my Celtic Cross readings are $20 and you can email me. Otherwise, you can wait for my free tarot questions live. So Page of Wands. Oh, I really have a hard time with this type of person, romantically speaking, of course. Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands is typically it's a good card. It's a messenger. But in this deck, the Page of Wands is somebody who's very flirty, and that can actually make somebody feel very, very insecure. So, and like I said before, there are all types of relationships. So let's say you're in an ethically non-monogamous relationship and you're with somebody who's flirty. I feel like that's an expected characteristic. But if you're in a monogamous relationship and you're with somebody who's constantly flirting all the time, that will definitely affect your self-esteem. It might even make you question whether or not they're cheating. So that's something to look out for. It really devalues your sense of self over time. Now, there is a fine line, okay? Some flirting is expected, is okay. That's something to be discussed within a relationship, of course. I'm not going to get into all that, but that is a personal thing to discuss with your partner. Is it okay to flirt with other people? How much can we flirt, and how much is really going to affect my self-esteem and make me lose trust for you? And everybody has a different spectrum for that. The Justice card. Okay. Reciprocity in a relationship is very, very important. If you don't have reciprocity in a relationship, it can end up being a codependent relationship. It's really important because even if it doesn't become codependent over time, you build resentments. And the person who's always giving or always paying or always, doing the extra work to initiate things can end up feeling overwhelmed, neglected, and taken advantage of. So that reciprocity in all types of relationships, not just romantic, is really important. When it comes to being intimate with your partner, that is another thing that can, and this is kind of like a whole, like another layer of intimacy, probably maybe for a different reading. But if you're the one who is always initiating being intimate with your partner, that also can really wear on your self-esteem. So that's something to be discussed. Pull a few more cards here and then we'll get out. My allergies are really killing it today. Okay, the Moon, keeping secrets. Keeping secrets. I feel like that's a given. It's really important to be open and honest about the things that you feel. It can be dangerous in a relationship, not necessarily like dangerous, like I'm going to get hurt physically, but it can be damaging to the relationship if somebody is constantly keeping things from the other person. And that can be anything. It can be even something small like I've decided to I've taken up a hobby and I do it from this time to this time, this day a week, and you don't tell your partner about it. It would probably question their trust, but it would also build your bonds to tell them about that. So not keeping secrets, being open, being vulnerable. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. Too far gone. I'm sorry you're going through that. Things are crazy right now. 3 of Wands. Okay, so we have the Hermit. The Hermit. And then, yeah. So I probably won't get into the Hermit. The Hermit here, I want to say the Hermit is isolating. Sometimes we isolate from our partner, but also sometimes we have process addictions that we don't tell our partner about. And that goes with like keeping secrets, but also like isolating from them. If you're an introvert, let's say that can be a huge problem that can erode at the foundation of a relationship. If you're, let's say you're a night owl and your partner's a hermit, that can erode the relationship over time. Finances can affect relationships. I say it all the time on this channel. Too far gone? Yes, it does. There's a lot of different ways that finances can affect a relationship. Then we have the 3 of Wands. Okay, so, oh, thank you, Kamari. The 3 of Wands is like waiting for something better to come along. Ooh. Yikes. So let's say that you're in a relationship, but you don't feel completely fulfilled in your job or in what you do or with the person that you're with, and you're secretly waiting for something else to come along. Let's say, yeah, you love your partner, but if you were to get a job offer like across the country, you would just take it. Sometimes that's settling. I feel like that whole I'm waiting for something better to come along and I'm just settling with this is really, you're not doing yourself or your partner any favors. That's actually going to hold you back from all your blessings. Too Far Gone says, working 2 jobs and I feel tired and not good enough because I can't afford the time or money to do things. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I will recommend that there are a lot of free things that you can do. Like there's museums, there's nature walks if you can do that. There's reading. Going on a picnic doesn't always have, you have to pay for the food, but you got to eat, right? You can go on picnics. You can just get creative. And as far as having 2 jobs, well, you'll have to schedule things. Yeah. You can schedule dates or downsize. You know, like for example, if you downsize on your apartment or if you get more roommates, then maybe you can work less. Got to get creative. But it's a very good example of how it can be hard to meet people when things are expensive. The Strength card. The Strength card is holding back. That's almost like keeping secrets. So it's almost like if there's something that you're afraid to express fully, it can be damaging on your relationship. Believe it or not, like we pick up on micro expressions in our partner and in the people around us. It's not just romantic relationships, but in friendships and things like that. Being too afraid to bring things up, it kind of points to maybe you're not feeling safe in this relationship because you're afraid of what the other person might say or think or do. So is your relationship a safe place for you to bring things up, bring concerns up? That's important. Ooh. And then we have the 4 of Cups. Right. I'm unfulfilled. I'm bored. This happens a lot in relationships, and it's normal. That's I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie with Marilyn Monroe. It's called The 7-Year Itch. It's pretty normal for relationships to have the ebb and flow. And especially if you're used to like a more chaotic relationship, and then there's a lull where there's no chaos, but there's also no passion, no romance, no this, no that. Every relationship kind of goes through like this flatline period. And it's important, once again, to not hold back and to discuss your feelings. This can sometimes be a lack of fulfillment in life as well, and that will affect your relationship in certain types of way, shape, or form. Okay, you guys. Ugh. I feel tired. I've talked a lot, so I'm probably going to end this live there. But just food for thought. Protect your heart out there. It's important, but also to be careful about the people that you surround yourself with. Especially, let's say that you're single and you're wanting to meet new people, and all your friends, they just like to drink, or they like to talk crap. That's not going to help you on your journey. You want to elevate yourself, elevate your standards, surround yourself with people who have goals, and, you know, they can potentially introduce you to better people. Okay, you guys, so I hope that this reading elevated your consciousness in some type of way, shape, or form. And yes, I know a lot of you guys have questions. You can always hit me up for a paid reading, or you can check out my free tarot questions live that I do on the weekend. So look out for that, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.